rent was lower here.
Been
you know what
here
I'm saying?
for 20 years.
We was broke. We had to make it happen as a young couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyhow, tonight has become kind of a homecoming a bit, and I want to finish it and bring it forward a little bit more with our next guest.
She's dynamic too. She's a dynamic soul sister.
Yes,
in
indeed.
every sense of the word.
Soul, funk, rock and roll. She can do it. You name it.
Yes.
An amazing vocalist, an amazing spirit, just a wonderful body of work as well. Want to go ahead and introduce you all to
Yahzarah. Come on out here, Yahzarah, and have a seat.
Girl.
Sit down and talk to us for a few minutes. You see how them DC girls be dressed?
Yeah.
They ain't come to play.
They ain't come to play. Have a seat,
Have
my
a seat,
love.
sisters. Have a seat. We're going to sit down and talk to you for a few.
And Dee Dee. Let me get my stuff here.
Get your stuff straight.
Yes.
Girl, you look good. I'm just gonna put it out
you.
there.
You embarrass me.
You know, you have such an amazing sense of style.
Thank
you. Always just your own woman. And I just love that about you. Wow. You know, you must love to get dressed. I get this sense that you love to dress up.
I love to play dress up because I also love to dress down.
Yes.
So when I do it, I like to go ahead and give my whole heart, my very best to my choice.
And that hair took somebody a very long time to do.
Yes.
Because these little tiny braids and the little things, my goodness gracious.
It's a commitment.
It
is
a
a
commitment.
serious commitment.
Yes.
5 women braiding in shifts for 13 hours.
Whew.
13 hours.
New Wave
and I be
Culture
mad
Creations,
at the
Brooklyn,
barber when it takes
Washington
him
Avenue.
45 minutes to cut my hair.
Yes, it is an absolute commitment. One woman takes 4 hours just to bead the bangs.
Yes.
I love it.
It really is a work of art. And so I'm really grateful. So I plug them every day, all day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they're keeping the culture.
Yeah.
You know, I started out our conversation about you being, from DC, from the area. But really, you're really the personification of an African American. Tell us a little bit about your unique background and your family.
Yes, I feel that I am definitely a miracle. And that my mother was told she would never have a child. And by chance decided that she wanted to start her own business and foraged off to Africa when a woman should not be traveling by herself in Africa, and ended up getting mosquito bites over 60% of her body and almost dying. And so she had met my father at the Ghanaian embassy here in DC. And so she looked him up. And he took her in. My grandmother, Nana Ya, saved her life, and he helped her feel better.
I bet.
She didn't know she was having morning sickness while fighting malaria.
Wow.
So I was conceived in Ghana. I'm first generation Ghanaian American from Washington, D.C. Yes, and I am a miracle for sure.
Give it up.
Went to Duke Ellington School of Performing Arts, was born at a D.C. hospital. I am a D.C. girl.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. To say that now means such an amazing thing, especially in our current climate, which seems to be bubbling over with pride about our ancestry and about being connected to the continent for whatever reason. But I can imagine that growing up, and especially during the 80s and in the early 90s, that could be a challenge. Tell us about, growing up and what that was like in the Washington, D.C. area.
Well, I was a child minister. I could lay hands on the sick and they should recover. Speak in tongues right around the church 7 times. I went to Rhema Christian Center in Washington, D.C. And I was 2 steps away from being a deaconess when I went to college. Wow. And so I am a woman of faith, and I really thank D.C. for building that in me. But it also, being in the church, was where you heard great musicianship.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so the church for me became a refuge, because when I sung, people listened to me, and in a place where there's a color cast system, it was my leg up, my voice, my talent, my gift to the world, that when I sung, people overlooked my color in a place where it was still very important to be very light-skinned, to do most things.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was my experience in D.C. But also, I think what spoiled me about the Washington, D.C. area is that you could go on public television and you would see Black folks singing classical music. I'm talking about Negro spirituals, head voice. they look just like you. They look just like you. And they're killing, and they're the best in their field, and they're excellent. And so you also grow up being not a half-stepper because there's so many opportunities to be mentored by them. You know, I'm a product of Duke Ellington School of Performing Arts, founded by Mike Malone and Peggy Cooper Fritz, and they saved my life.
Wow.
They saved music, art, writing songs, being in the middle of all that excellence saved my life in Washington, D.C.
Wow. Now, you're a true Renaissance woman. You just sang in classical, opera.
That's not all what they've been
and like Aja mentioned earlier, you can do pop, soul, rock, all of these different things. What do you consider your musical genre as an artist? Or do you consider
I kind of
yourself
do what
to
I
have
like.
a musical genre?
I kind of do what I like. I mean, I started in the soul music world. I was singing background for Erykah Badu. I went from high school straight into my sophomore year of college, balancing college and Badu, you know, and the Lilith Fair. I went in, I flew there with no money to get home, pretended I was from Dallas, Texas, learned 17 songs in 3 days and stayed out 7 years, you know, and was recording back and forth at Electric Lady at the age of 21 with Erykah. So.
There you go.
Oh, yes, there I am.
Yeah, y'all remember
Nickelback
that?
lady. Yes, indeed. It was a wonderful place to become myself. It was a wonderful place to be excellent. Gino Young, if you have not heard his music.
Yes, we know Gino.
You should get into his music.
He's an incredible artist in his own right, yes.
I consider him a mentor, and he and I were in a group called In Time, and I came to replace a woman who had gone on to greater things named Cy Smith.
Yeah.
So tonight is a full circle moment because I consider all of them my musical mentors.
Right.
And he went on to sing background for Erykah and put me on.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my career. So, you know, I just owe everything to these moments that just gave me a serendipitous beginning.
Yes.
Pretty much everything.
And so, what about you right now is part of the dream you dreamed when you were at Duke Ellington School of the Arts? Or is this beyond anything that you dreamed?
It has definitely exceeded expectation. You know, I remember saying after I left the Badu gig that I would never sing background again unless it was Sting or Lenny Kravitz. You know, and after I had my son, I was kind of thrust from being a housewife that makes music and invest in that into being a mother and a single mother. And so I got a real estate license and I sold real estate in the city of Brooklyn. And
it's a good job.
yes, it was an amazing job.
But
I didn't make music.
Expensive shit in Brooklyn right now.
And it's staying that way. It's staying that way forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Which is why I'm moving to Baltimore. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You can get you a house. Listen, get you a house.
Right on.
But I ended up taking on this job and I started to say, well, I'm going to bloom where I've been planted because this is where I am. I have to feed my son. My ex-husband was not being a gentleman at the time and I had to be thrust in the workforce and I did not make music. And one day he said, I didn't support you in marriage, but I want to support you right now. And we should trade places because I'm never going to give you enough child support, boo. So you need to just let me see if I can do your job.
Yeah.
He respects my work now.
Yeah.
But we became a team and we traded places. And 2 weeks after I did that, I got the call to do the Kravitz gig. They'd been searching for me for 6 months to audition. Ooh. And my son was still staying with me at the time. They flew me in that morning and had me back in town to pick him up from the sitter.
Well, Lenny can do that.
Yes, he can do that.
Lenny can
Lenny
do
can
that.
do that.
Lenny's got the plane tickets.
Yes, he
Boy.
does. Yes, he does.
So what's the difference between working with a Erykah Badu and then working with a Lenny Kravitz? Is, even though they have some similarities, I mean, that's a hugely different style of gig. I mean, naturally, just with the audience in general, I mean, it's totally different.
Well, you know what? That's the interesting part. When I was with Erykah, I saw a lot of people from a lot of different places, a whole lot of white folks,
right,
and an equal number of black folks who enjoyed their music. I wish I did see more brown faces at a Kravitz gig, because that music is ours.
Absolutely.
And the show is bananas, and not because I was on it, it's because the man is a real musician. Like, when I watch him, we cannot outwork him. Yeah. And I remember being in the 7th grade and falling in love with his music. Hey.
We got you on stage here.
I ain't got those abs right now, which is why we have this lovely camouflage. Yes, but I learned a lot being there. It was like summer camp, because that was the music I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to make that music, people were listening to Jill Scott and listening to Erykah Badu, and there was no room for a brown-skinned girl to be making rock and roll and singing like she's at church. at the same time. Like Tina did it, like Rosetta Tharpe did it, like Jane Kennedy did it.
Yeah.
You know,
Grew up on it.
Grew up on it. And so now being with him gave me the qualifier I needed to make the music I enjoy, which is all music.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot. I got my, I almost got my degree. I left to make music, getting my jazz composition and music business degree. So I love straight ahead. One day I'll do a big band album, but right now I want to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I want to sing about the times. And this record, the ceremony that I'm doing was rocky music for me. Because there were a lot of people who told me to my face that I was going to fail when I left North Carolina I just gotten considered for a Grammy in 6 categories. I did not get the nomination. I had a number of losses that I had not expected, including one of them being my marriage because of music. And going to New York and making the song Running, which you guys will hear tonight, is my life story. There's a part where it says, I traveled way too many miles to get here, and you can't tell me you can't tell me who I am. Walked through the valley of the shadow to get here, and I made my way downtown so I could tell you where it's at. Some of us have walked through some very personal hells.
Yeah.
And have made it on the other side of them. And this record is about that. It's your rocky music.
And the song Running was featured on the Spike Lee.
She's Gotta Have It.
Shoot,
Yes,
my brain isn't working today.
That's all right, baby. That's why I'm
But was
here.
featured on She's Gotta Have It.
Tell me if
the
I'm rambling.
series.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Asia. Talk English, baby. But yeah, that was an amazing placement for that song. And especially the moment when they play it.
Yes, indeed.
It had to be very surreal for you, especially the story. And I would love for you to tell it about writing that song.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. And, I have wrestled with telling this story because it's a real life story. And when I tell it, people know exactly who the players are. But he knows who he is and he understands it's part of my testimony, or he will. But he will have to, because it happened. And I left my marriage not even with the house that I helped pay for. And I had this baby, and as soon as I had my 6-week visit, I was out of the house with a newborn, and I had to go back to music at 4 weeks, when my son was 4 weeks old. And when I finally decided I was gonna leave Durham, I made it a point to tell everybody I knew that I was leaving, so that if they saw me at the Kroger, my pride wouldn't let me hide, and I got the fuck out of Durham, North Carolina. What are you still doing here? I thought you was going to New York. You know what I mean? I didn't want that messing with my pride. And so when I left, he told me I was going to fail miserably. And he could tell anybody who would listen, who was close to me, that I was going to fail, and to talk me out of doing it. And I almost didn't do it. And the first song that I recorded when I got into New York and I could finally knock Ray Angry down to do it was Running. And I can't take all the credit. A dear friend of mine named Chocolate, otherwise known as Calista Moore.
Chocolate from Seattle?
Yes, from Seattle, was there visiting me, and we were holding microphones. And we've been there all day because Ray was working on the drums. And anybody who's worked with Raymond Angry knows that this dude is a meticulous weapon of destruction, because it's never good enough and it's always awesome. Right. So awesome. So he worked on the drums all day, and he gave us 2 microphones. And the music starts. And we both close our eyes, and this woman says, I travel way too many miles to get here. And the floodgates open inside of me. And I lost my fear, and I got rid of my anger, and I decided to show my gratitude. And I said, you can't tell me who I am. Because when I was the artist, people said, she had to have messed it up. That baby ain't even his, probably. So I'm a public figure in a small town who's pregnant and mostly always alone. And I had to say to myself, to be happy and not have my baby be angry and colicky, I better be happy. You can't tell me who I am. Walk through the valley of the shadow to get here. Then I made my way downtown so I could tell you where it's at. Yes. And then I cried. And then we wrote that song. And it was great because I discovered I forgot that I was music. I decided to be somebody's wife all the time. And really live up to that adage, the patriarchy, and y'all ain't the enemy, but a lot of men said this, that I was fractured because I was unmarried and I had a baby and then my marriage didn't last. I mean, Jeremiah Wright married Erykah and I.
Wow.
20 people, our closest friends, in an all-white wedding. I was dressed to the motherfucking nines. You could not touch me. Whitney Merrill of Onion made my dress by hand, stitched pearls on the detail. And it didn't last. And people were talking about me like a dog. And so that song saved my life. And so when it got selected for Spike Lee, it blew my mind because when I was 4 days postpartum with Miles, DJ Spinner asked me to do a version of I Can't Help It over the original DAT recording that Michael Jackson had done I Can't Help It over.
Yeah, Spinner gets all of that.
Dude.
Spinner's everything.
And listen, I had to decide whether to lay in bed and heal. I'm still wearing a Depends. Stay in the bed and heal or go sing. And so I had Miles nursing on the microphone and I recorded I Can't Help It for Spike Lee. You know, I was gonna do that over the original DAT recording. Shit.
If anybody knows that feeling, I do, darling.
Yes, indeed.
You on stage.
A hungry little
boy.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And so to be in front of him again, and I was on tour with Steve Van Zandt, who's another story, and I hope I get to tell about this Italian man who sings like a black angel one day in public. But look up Steven Van Zandt. He is the pen behind Bruce Springsteen. I was singing with him in Europe.
He's the guitar player.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And he sings like a short black angel. He's amazing. So I was touring with him, and he let me fly back from Europe to participate in the listening party, and I got to meet Spike. At the same time, I would have been recording I Can't Help It with Miles, who had just turned 6. And it was just, the whole last 4 years has been a full circle moment, and I'm just grateful I get to make music. I'm grateful you guys still want to listen. Yeah. After 20 years, on the 11th will be the anniversary of my very first record, Hear Me, that I made as a college student at Central, that got my whole career started. Any Hear Me fans out here? Yeah. Yes, okay, some old schoolers. It's on Bandcamp now for free, so go get it. I'm just grateful. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, it's Jazz Appreciation Month, and we're celebrating that here in Philadelphia, and you mentioned jazz, and your son is named Miles, which I would assume is after Miles Davis. Why do you feel that jazz is an important art form for young people to understand and get to know, irregardless of what style of music they choose to do?
It's black classical music. It's one of the things that is absolutely still ours. And when you learn it, you can do everything else. Now, I have heard some jazz players that can't play gospel, you know what I mean? But I've also heard like a 15-minute version of jazz steps. Of giant steps, pardon me.
Right.
Where I never got bored. Because there's so many notes on the piano, and jazz requires you to manipulate them to make your own music every time. When I was going to school at North Carolina Central University, I had an amazing professor, Dr. Wiggins, who made us learn all of the scales, all the major and the minor scales. Even if you were a singer, it was part of your grade to learn how to sing them. I wrote Hear Me during those days, and I had no rules. Like when you listening like 94 tracks of vocals, I am using every orchestral idea that I have been given in school to make music at the time. And I'm so grateful. Yeah. Like these teachers teach you how to love the music. You know, when you sing classical music, you're required to learn the translations, and they write the most romantic shit. This guy says, it's Amarilli, mia bella, non credi udir mio cor, dolci disi. Anyway, he's saying to the girl that if you open up his chest, now listen.
You just get mesmerized when you start singing and shit. Like, oh shit.
No, but for real, though, listen to this. He's a G. He says to her, if you open up my chest, you will find your name written inside of it. Amarilli, 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 Amarilli. He says it like over and over again. Over and over again. He's wooing her. And I learned how to write love songs. I'm a Cancer, and we love love. And we get, when we break up, we hurt bad, and that makes excellent music. you know? And I learned how to appreciate it because of classical music. So that's what learning Black classical and classical music has done for me.
Fantastic. Y'all give it up.
Because I could talk all day about that.
Because that was amazing what she just did. She just pulled some Black excellence out her back pocket and just, here, y'all have a little taste of that. Now I'm going to keep talking like I didn't do that, but it's okay.
Give us a crazy story. I'm sorry.
You've also come to do some amazing, like yearly now, tributes to Prince. And I know he's a big influence on you.
Yeah, I should have done, I should have done it. I didn't do it.
No, we wanted you to do your
you didn't do it
music
this year?
I didn't do any Prince.
Oh.
So don't get mad, it's not in the set.
But you know, the thing is, you've done these amazing tributes, and I know he's a big influence on you. One of the things that we have, you know, at the show that we didn't anticipate it at all, is that a lot of the guests that we've had on the show, and they've been from every walk of life, whether they be artists, authors, all different types of genres of music. So many people have a Prince story, and everybody has.
You have one, don't you? But that's okay.
It's
Mine's
okay.
good and embarrassing.
It's okay. It's okay.
So,
It's too embarrassing?
oh, no, I'll tell it, because it's good to laugh at yourself. This is a good one.
All right.
So all my life, first off, I've been a Prince fan since I was 5 years old, and I saw Purple Rain, and I really was not supposed to see this movie, but it changed my life. I wanted to do that. He was all the things I was already feeling, and I wanted to live in that energy. So fast forward, it's Prince's birthday, and Erykah is performing, and I've gotten something made, honey. I'm laid. I am ready to meet Prince. And he reaches out to hug me, and we're both the same height in heels, and we're closing in with our eyes closed, and we bang heads just like the Three Stooges. I cry. Not then. My head goes down, and he goes, you know that Prince look he gives when he does not like you?
You just hit me in the head.
He just shook his head like if people were saying SHM, then they're like shake my head. He would be saying shake my head. And I went back to my room and I cried for like 3 hours. And then I went to go give him my record, and he was like, I don't take CDs. And then Dombey went to give him her record, and he was like, oh, lovely. And I died a little bit inside. A little bit inside. However,
He'll always remember.
Oh, no, I tributed him for
remembered.
6 years.
Wow.
I tributed him for 6 years. I put music of his in tribute because I loved him so much. Yeah. He never took my music down. No one ever contacted me. I never got sued. His players have played for me. Kat Dyson is playing on the new record. He was nothing but inspiring and encouraging. He was my silent mentor. I don't have anything but great things to say about him. That's the Prince story that people really ought to know. I am here because he is one of my idols. He's one of my heroes because he just did it his way. He let his sacred and the profane exist unapologetically in space. And y'all loved it. And that's what I want to do, unapologetically be me. I want to encourage people to just do that. Like, what an amazing ascended master.
Absolutely.
You know, and I hit him in the head. I might have got a little bit of that.
He might have had a mark
I
on
didn't
his
mean
head.
it, but when you think about it.
She said my bangs was covering the spot, but
Yes.
it's there.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
So that's my Prince story.
I love it.
Well, time is running short, unfortunately, and as we said, we got an action-packed show tonight.
But
we
we
would
know
love
why you're
to sit
here.
and talk with you and talk with you and talk with you for hours, and we could do
thank you
that.
for
But we would
having me.
really love for you to give the people some of what you do best.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ladies and
I hope
gentlemen,
y'all
please
enjoy.
make a joyful noise for Sister Yahzarah.
Yes,
And
indeed.
be on the lookout for all things Yahzarah.
Thank
Yes, indeed.
Coming soon.
Yes, indeed.
YAHZARAH. Thank you. Thank you so much. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Sean. Give it up for Sean, y'all. Yeah. Boom, boom, hey. I travel way too many miles to get here. You can't tell me who I am. Hey, walk through the valley of the shadow to get here. Then I made my way downtown so I could tell you where it's at. Hey. trying to stop anytime soon. Hey, when you've been where I've been and you seen what I've seen, a little heartache don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough, cause they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, keep running, just keep running, running faster. Hey, I'm still sitting here in my bed, thinking about the things that they said on the day that you left. Seems like everything got stuck, but I'm fine. I'll concentrate on mine. It's all that I've got left. Hey, hey, felt my share of pain, yeah. Seen a lot of thunder, rain. Now I'm walking on top of a cloud all night, and I'm not trying to stop anytime soon. Hey, hey, when you've been where I've been and you've seen what I see, a little heartache don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough, cause they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, just keep running, running faster. Hey, 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 champion. Keep running, yes, keep running, hey, keep running, hey, running faster. I'm sorry, guys. I've been fighting a little cold. So if you see me, Dad, from time to time, that's why. Let me get a little water. Y'all having a good time? That's my story, y'all, for real. Short little feisty girl talking shit. Falling down, getting up. So this is my get up tune. I hope y'all feel it. I'm writing it for you guys, because ultimately all of us have a story. You're a legend, you're a legend, you're a legend, you're a legend. If anybody's ever read The Alchemist, yeah, it's like living your own personal legend. It's not what happened, it's like kind of you got through it. You know where you got your superhero shit from? Yeah, so hope you like my superhero song. On you, Sean.
the solar eclipse. The planets aligned, dark creeds and dark colors. Knew that it was my time. On the wings of an eagle, I fly through the sky. So when you see me shining, well, now you know why I'm the legend of the girl who said she's seen it all before. Who went right into the sunset like that old cowboy John. Buffalo soldier who went riding on the wind. Just when you thought she was gone, she came on back. There will be disappointments and distractions of downs, but it's just a part of living. Keep your feet on the ground, 'cause nobody can do the things you do. Plus you're cool, stay original. Plus you're clean, sticking mean in the rodeo like that poor cowboy. I'm the legend of a girl who said she's seen it all before. Who went riding to the sunset like that old cowboy. I'm a legend. You're a legend. Yeah, 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 yeah. You're a legend. Hey, hey, hey. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're a legend. Thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, have Philly. Oh, but yeah, Philly.
That's the same sister that was sitting there singing
Who
classical.
don't want to rock out? Who don't want to rock out?